broken, and I could only stand there with tears in my eyes as she detailed exactly how she was going to ruin my life. Whitney had watched all this happen and jumped into the fray. She told Brooke off, threatening to tell her dad just what exactly Brooke and Tommy got up to after the football games. After Brooke and her cheerleading posse sulked away, Whitney turned to me and said, "Girls like that make me sick. Don't worry about Brooke. You and I are going to be best friends." And we were. Whitney might sometimes be tough and prickly on the outside, but inside she was all gooey with love, devotion, and loyalty. Like a marshmallow. She would deny it, but it was true. It was one of the reasons why I had been immediately drawn to Lemon Beauchamp, a fellow contestant on Marry Me. At least, I thought she had been a contestant. She had reminded me of Whitney, all Southern sass and strength, but sweet, compassionate, and motherly underneath. She had been a good friend to me, supportive and helpful even when she thought we were falling in love with the same man. But Lemon had lied to me too, about who she really was and why she was on the show. She had even been engaged to someone else, all things she kept from me. After everything fell apart, she had showered me with phone calls that I wouldn't take. The pain was still too raw and powerful, and I blamed her unjustly. It was an annoying tendency of mine to sometimes take things out on the people who deserved them least. It wasn't Lemon's scheme that caused it all to fall apart. That was on Dante and Rafe. Eventually the calls and unheard voicemails stopped. I wasn't even angry with her anymore, but so much time had passed that I felt embarrassed about calling her, so I just did nothing. I wouldn't have known what to say. Whitney had told me that she'd seen an article about Dante and Lemon being engaged, so I guess she must have forgiven him for what he and his brother did. I managed to stay away from all the online and televised coverage of the Monterran royals. I didn't want the constant reminder because it felt like somebody was performing unesthetized open-heart surgery on me every time I thought about Rafe. Which Whitney knew, because she was the one person in whom I had confided all of my heartbreak. She knew how badly he had hurt me, and how I wanted to move on. She had also watched the show, repeatedly. She saw what I had been through. I knew she was on my side, but she had a soft spot for Rafe, and told me more than once that she secretly hoped we would reunite. And that was before she had even met him. It had surprised me that my often cynical friend was a romantic deep down. "You can't be nice to him," I told her. "If we're nice to him, he'll never leave. I need him to go away." "I'll do what I can," Whitney replied. "You know everyone in town has your back. We'll close ranks. But just know that my heart's not really in it. You belong together. It's fate. And I want to come visit you in your castle." We pulled up to the diner, and she turned the engine off. "Not that any of it matters. I know you. You won't stay angry with him, and I'll get to plan my vacation to Monterra." She got out, leaving me alone in the minivan. She was right about one thing, at least. I didn't like being angry. It made me not feel like myself. Despite my hardships, I always wanted to see the bright side. Aunt Sylvia told her friends I was her little eternal optimist. She used to joke that everyone should forget about the glass half empty or glass half full debate because I'd see an empty glass and say it was filled with invisible, magical water. I always wanted to see the good. In my life and in other people. It wasn't that I was blind or unable to see things for what they were, but that I chose to live a certain way. Or rather, I used to choose to live a certain way. What I had gone through with Rafe had changed me fundamentally. For months, my optimism had disappeared. I had been depressed and surly and not fun to be around. I had only just started being me again, wanting to see the bright side, wanting to be happy. Right up to the moment when I found him in my guest house. Sighing, I went inside to put on my apron and get ready for my shift. All of the regulars were there, and I drifted from table to table, taking orders, pouring coffee, and making mindless small talk. I approached Max and his friends, who sat in their booth as they had every day for decades.
"Hey there, sweetie.